Hi guys, welcome back. Today we'll be taking a look at some of the Chinese stocks. Before I begin, remember take a second to give the video a like and subscribe as you greatly help out the channel. Without further ado, let's first start off with Alibaba, BABA. So for Alibaba for the week, there's actually not much movements. Key resistance that was rejected off was this 61.8% and 93.78. So long as we do not clear this 93.78%, $93.78 rather, then it's unlikely for us to see more upside ahead. You can see that this was red baseline was being rejected off as a resistance, and we found some support at this blue conversion line. So currently it's still quite good. Key support to watch will be this $84, and if we were to break down, then this $78 cannot break down. If not, we will likely to retest back the $73 once again. Good thing for now is that the gap has been closed. This $80 to $87 gap to be closed, and if we were to break down, this 73.28 must hold at all costs. Resistance to watch for next week will be this particular resistance here at 90.77, 93.78, and if we were to break up, then 98.06, and hopefully we can retest the highs of 103.52. Don't forget that earnings is coming up on the 26th of May, so do expect some volatility, and hopefully the results will be in our favor. Moving on to Tencent, you can see that Tencent, despite its earnings and apparently it was some miracle earnings, we did not crash down. In fact, it was well supported. So we closed at around 38.2% for the week. Resistance to be watched would be $45 and $46. If we were able to clear this 47.14, then we can retest the high of 48.67, which was recent highs here, before we can go back to test above the $50 psychological resistance, and hopefully we can go back to this 52.95 high. Support to be watching, it will be this blue conversion line, and this red baseline is currently at around 44.90. So this is a very strong support and also resistance that this Tencent has to actually hold in the upcoming sessions. Hopefully this 41.47 do not break down, as it is this last support before we retest the $40 psychological support, and also the recent low of 37.92. Moving on to NetEase or NTES, you can see that NetEase is significantly stronger. It held by this 50% at 84.90. So 84.90 has to hold in the event that we pull back down. Currently, there is no resistance to watch other than this 101.18. Support to watch will be this red conversion line and also a red baseline and blue conversion line, which is currently sitting at around $92. So this is a very strong support. Furthermore, on the way down, you can see that there's many cloud support here. So before this 84 is being tested, there is a cloud support at around $88 to $92. Let's move on to Pinduoduo or PDD. You can see that PDD managed to find its support at its last critical at 23.6% at 30.80, and it seems like the gap has also been closed here. So that is a good sign for now. We are also creating a higher low compared to this low. So now we need to start creating higher highs in order for the trend to continue up. So let's talk about the resistance ahead. You can see that this blue conversion line and red baseline has already been crossed. So on the way down, this has to act as a very strong support, looking at around 37.50 and also 38.36. On the way up, the cloud acts as a resistance. Do expect some resistance for PDD. You can see that this acted as a resistance, and thereafter we came back down. So if we manage to go back up this time, hopefully we can punch back above and we claim back this 45.70. The event that we can go back up and clear this 61.5% at $46, then we'll be likely looking towards this $50 psychological support, psychological resistance, and thereafter we test the highs of 55.38. Moving on to NIO. So NIO seems to be pretty bullish. You can see that we crossed this 78.6% at 16.82. However, on the Friday, we did not manage to close near the peak. In fact, we pulled back down, but thankfully, we still managed to hold above this 15.72. The next resistance to be watching will be this 18.22, and if we can punch back up above this level, then we're looking at this 19.28, 21.35, and hopefully we test the high of 23.98 back in early April. Let's move on to Xpeng or XPEV. Yeah. So similar to NIO, did not test this 25.11. In fact, we got rejected off this 25.11 on the Friday, and even on the Wednesday and Thursday show signs of weakness and sellers present. So key resistance to watch will be this 23.67, and we have to actually clear this 23.67 for us to test this $25 and even this 27's recent high. Looking at the supports, you can see that this red baseline is holding Xpeng pretty well. So if we do break down, then it's likely for us to test this blue conversion line. Currently, this red baseline is at 22.97, so $23 is a very strong psychological support here. And thereafter, this blue line will be at 21.75, which acts as a strong support. If we do break down, then hopefully this $20 will hold it strong, and ideally this 18.35 do not break, so that we can continue to hold this double bottom for Xpeng. Let's move on to JD.com. So JD, it seems quite lagged behind, seems like quite similar to Alibaba, 8.2% at 388. we were rejected off, but we found some support at this blue conversion line, currently sitting at around 51.61. So the next conversion blue red baseline is resistance to watch will be 56.06, which coincides with this 50% at this Fibonacci resistance levels. If we are able to punch up above this 61.8% at 58.24, that will be good before we can retest the highs above $60, 61.34, and also reclaim back the recent high of 65.29 for more bullish momentums. Ideally, 46.83 should not break down. If we were to break down, then there's a high chance for us to retest the lows of 41.56. Let's move on to Baidu. So Baidu, you can see that clearly there was a double bottom, and it seems like it was bouncing up hard. In fact, we cleared this blue conversion line and so this red baseline. So currently, previous resistance has now turned into support. You can see that this was a previous resistance here, and now it has turned into good support. So that is a good sign. On a Friday, unfortunately, there was a bit of selling pressure and profit taking, but we still managed to cross and hold back above this 61.8%, 123.20. So that's a good sign for now. So the next resistance to watch will be 129, and after clearing this 130 psychological resistance, we'll be aiming towards this 136.54, which was the recent high of this particular day here on April 29. So hopefully these two supports will be holding at around 119 and also at this blue conversion line at 115.63. Key support to watch is 101.62. This cannot break down in order for us to continue with this double bottom. Hopefully there will be no lower lows, and hopefully there will be start creating higher highs as well. Next up, we have Futu Holdings. So Futu Holdings, you can see that the gap has been closed finally. So 26.85 at 23.6%, and this gap from $26 to $30 has been closed once here, and also finally been closed, and thereafter we've seen it trending back up. On the way up, the cloud will act as a resistance, but not to worry. This cloud is relatively thin. You can see that there was some rejection off here once and twice. Hopefully on the next Monday or even Tuesday, we can start punching back above this cloud. And ideally, this should previous resistance turning to support. There will be a good situation where we punch up and it becomes a strong support before we're going back up once again for Futu Holdings. Key support to watch will be this blue conversion line and also this red baseline, which coincides at the same price at around 31.53. Looking at this 23.6%, 31.14 has to hold as well before we 26.84 cannot break down. If 26.84 were to break down, then it's high chance for us to retest back the lows of $21, 21.23 to be precise. With key resistance to watch will be 35.95, 38.10, 41.16, and thereafter 45.06 of its recent high. So let's move on to Tiger. So Tiger, you can see that it's very similar to Futu Holdings. We managed to close the gap here, and thereafter we start trending back up. So as of now, this you can see that clearly this blue conversion acted as a resistance, and thereafter we managed to go back up, and now this red baseline is acting as a stronger resistance. So we need to clear this 3.98 before we can punch up higher. Key resistance to watch will be 4.57 and the $5 psychological resistance that is very critical for Tiger because it also coincides with this cloud resistance level. If you are able to punch up, then 5.53 will be within reach, and 6.20 and 7.07 hopefully. Next up, we have KWEB. So you can see that KWEB found some good support at its last support here at 23.6%. It seems like the gap was partially closed. We did not close it entirely, but there was a double bottom here, and then we went back up. So now currently the red baseline is acting as a very strong support for KWEB, but we need to continue to punch up higher. 78.6%, 2037 seems to be rejected off on a Friday, and even on this particular day here on a Tuesday. And we unfortunately closed below this 61.8%, 27.37. So we had to clear this 27.37 before testing this 28.37, and ideally we go back towards this $29. That would be the good scenario for KWEB. And upcoming weeks, if we are able to punch up even higher and clear this $30 psychological resistance, then I'm looking at 30.88 before we test the recent high of 32.83 here on this particular day. Next up, we have CWEB. So this price is a lot more rigid. Unfortunately, we also broke down this last support here at 23.6% at 465, but we found psychological support at the $4 mark, hitting a low of 404. Looking at some of its Fibonacci resistance, it's 548 has to clear before we can test the 587 and 637 recent high. Key supports to be watching will be this blue conversion line at 491 and so red baseline at 521, which we actually closed at 521 exactly on the Friday. So hopefully we can continue to break up. But do bear in mind that there is a lot of cloud resistance here for CWEB, and do expect some resistance in upcoming sessions, and very heavy resistance at around 580 to around 660. And lastly, we have FXI. So this is the iShares China Large Cap ETF. So it's a very similar situation. We found its support at the last support at 28.08. The gap was partially closed. And looking at this 27.83 to a high of 31.79, resistance that we have to clear is 30.94, just above this $30 psychological resistance. And we also have to hold this 30.28 for more upside ahead. If we are able to punch through all this resistance, then we're looking towards this $33 before retesting the highs of 34.39. That would be a good scenario. To bear in mind, there's also a clouds resistance upcoming for this particular counter. So that's all for now, and hopefully next week we can continue the momentum with Alibaba results on 26th of May. So if there's any changes, I'll give you guys an update. Thanks for stopping by. Till we meet again, appreciate the manipulation.